On this 2020-2025 F250 Superduty with the 7.3L gas engine, P0101 is an airflow performance code. In plain language, the PCM is comparing the airflow the MAF reports against the airflow it expects the engine to be moving, and those two values do not agree. The truck may idle rough, hesitate, feel down on power, or it may simply turn the light on with only a subtle complaint. The broad fault areas are possible intake air leaks or restrictions, MAF contamination, MAF/IAT wiring or connector concerns, and possibly a PCM concern. For P0101, the code sets when actual airflow is less or greater than modeled airflow by greater than a calibrated value for 2.4 seconds, so treat this as an airflow accuracy problem, not just a dead sensor problem. Start with the basic system checks. If P0101 is present, continue into the intake air diagnostic path. If other codes are present, check what they mean first so you understand the overall fault pattern, but keep this episode focused on P0101. If there is no related airflow code, and this is not a symptom without code situation, stop this path and diagnose by the symptom instead. With the ignition off, inspect the intake air system before getting deep into circuit testing. Look for restrictions in the air cleaner, housing, and intake tubes. Check for loose or broken outlet tube clamps, cracks or holes in the outlet tube, worn gaskets between the MAF/IAT sensor and the air cleaner assembly, and make sure the MAF/IAT connector is fully seated. Also check the throttle body bore for sludge, and check the crankcase ventilation system for leaks or restrictions. If you find a concern here, repair it as necessary, clear the PCM DTCs, and repeat the self-test. If the air path checks clean, move on to the sensor feed check. Next, turn the ignition on and check voltage to the MAF/IAT sensor at C128 pin 2. On this F-Series Super Duty application, the voltage needs to be greater than 5V. If it is not greater than 5V, repair the open circuit, clear the PCM DTCs, and repeat the self-test. If the voltage is good, continue to the harness open check. Now turn the ignition off. Disconnect the PCM connector and disconnect the MAF/IAT sensor connector. Measure resistance between C128 pin 1 and C175B pin 25, and between C128 pin 3 and C175B pin 26. Both resistance checks need to be less than 5 ohms. If they are not, repair the open circuit, clear the PCM DTCs, and repeat the self-test. If both checks pass, move to the signal short check. With the connectors still set up for circuit testing, check the MAF signal circuit for a short at C128 pin 1. The resistance needs to be greater than 10,000 ohms. If it is not greater than 10,000 ohms, repair the short circuit, clear the PCM DTCs, and repeat the self-test. If that passes, turn the ignition on and check C128 pin 1 for a short to voltage. If any voltage is present, repair the short circuit, clear the PCM DTCs, and repeat the self-test. For P0101, if no voltage is present, move into the intermittent concern checks. Reconnect the PCM connector and the MAF/IAT sensor connector. Start the engine. Bring the engine up to 500 RPM for 5 seconds, then bring it back to idle. Do that a second time, up to 500 RPM for 5 seconds, then back to idle. If the idle is not stable, pause this path and address the idle concern first instead of guessing. If idle is stable, monitor the PCM MAF PID and G/S. Lightly tap on the MAF sensor and wiggle the harness connector to simulate road shock. If the MAF PID reading changes, clean the MAF/IAT sensor using CRC Mass Airflow Sensor Cleaner 05110 or equivalent. Reset KAM and repeat the self-test. If the concern is still present after that, install a new MAF/IAT sensor, reset KAM, and repeat the self-test. If the MAF PID does not change during this check, Continue to the harness wiggle test. For the final check, keep monitoring the PCM MAF PID and G/S. Wiggle, shake, and bend small sections of the wiring harness, working from the sensor back toward the PCM. If the MAF PID reading changes, repair the harness as necessary, clear the PCM DTCs, and repeat the self-test. If the PID does not change, clean the MAF/IAT sensor using CRC Mass Airflow Sensor Cleaner 05110 or equivalent. Reset KAM and repeat the self-test. If the concern is still present after cleaning, install a new MAF/IAT sensor, reset KAM, and repeat the self-test. Keep verification separate from testing. After any repair called out in this path, clear the PCM DTCs and repeat the self-test. When cleaning or replacing the MAF/IAT sensor is called out, reset KAM as part of that step. The takeaway is simple. Prove the intake air path first, prove the power and signal circuits next, then chase intermittents before condemning the sensor. For more diagnostic training, visit Diagnostics.com.